Hello and welcome to the ScatterVolt channel, and today, this is my $1,000 gaming PC. So this is one heck of a gaming PC. For $1,000, I have pimped up this thing to run pretty much any game at ultra settings at 1080p. Because the components that are inside of this gaming PC are not only just very fast and good for gaming, but I've put in some really good ergonomics inside of this. I'll just make it better for everyday use, such as, you know, fast boot up times, really good editing speeds and all that stuff. But anyways, overall, this is just a great $1,000 gaming PC where you people want to get a high-end gaming PC and still want to run a lot of today's games at 60 FPS, ultra settings, all that good stuff at 1080p. So for the processor, I've chosen the Intel Core i5 4670K. So this is a i5 core processor, and as you know, the Core i5 is strictly made for gaming. The 4770K is just a more higher end one, just simply for video editing, but since this gaming PC is strictly for gaming, I'm keeping it with this i5, and as you know, the i5 can achieve some very good frame rates with games compared with a very good graphics card. So that is exactly why I'm using this high-end CPU for this gaming PC. So to go over some specs, this is a 4-core processor, which is good right now because games right now are utilizing 4 cores. It is overclockable if you want to overclock this thing to get better frames in games. And just overall, this is a very reliable and very solid processor to get for this gaming PC. Now for the motherboard, I've chosen the ASRock Z87 Pro 3 LGA 1150 motherboard. So yes, I know there are the Z97 motherboards that are out right now, but right now there's not that much of a difference between a Z97 motherboard and a Z87 motherboard. A Z97 motherboard just has a new SATA connection and a bit more overclockability, but for this pretty moderate $1,000 gaming PC, we'll be fine with the motherboard that I'm choosing. So anyways, to go over some of these specs, this is a Z87 motherboard, which basically means that you can overclock and unlock i5 or i7 on this gaming motherboard. This is by ASRock, and as you know, ASRock have a 1% fail rate out of all of their motherboards, so that is really nice. And for being at a very cheap price of $90, this is a very value-oriented $90 Z87 motherboard that will basically hold your entire system and be a really solid and stable motherboard. Now for the RAM, I've chosen the Team Vulcan 8GB RAM set. So for a while, I've just been going over this RAM, not really just considering its existence because I just don't really know the brand, but little did I know, for being how cheap this sort of RAM is, it actually has a 5-egg review on Newegg, so this immediately got my attention, and now, from now on, I'm going to be using this set of RAM for a long, long time. Anyway, so for being very cheap at $65, you're getting 8GB of memory, which is very good for games, as you know, games nowadays, even the really high-end AAA ones, if everything maxed out, will be using about 6 to 7 gigabytes. But if you were going to do video editing, it'd be recommended to get more, like 16. However, 8 gigabytes just for pure gaming is still perfectly fine. At a speed of 1600 MHz with a CAS latency of 9, those are the standard RAM preferences if you're going to game. And for being a 5-egg review score on Newegg.com and just being a very good cheap set of RAM, this is a great set of RAM for this gaming PC. Now for the graphics card, I have went ahead and straight up chose the NVIDIA GeForce GTX 780 Twin Frozer 3GB graphics cards. This is one heck of a graphics card. It is so fast. This is known to run pretty much any game at ultra settings at 1080p. And just overall, this is a heck of a graphics card, and this will certainly run today's games and even next-gen games at ultra settings. So if you're wondering how this will perform on Grand Theft Auto 5, or even other next-gen titles, this will certainly run most of those games at ultra settings. But anyways, to go over some of these specs, this has 3GB of GDDR5 memory, which basically means that not only is this primed a bit for 1080p gaming, but with the extra 1GB of memory, it is also pretty primed for 1440p gaming, as it will use up more VRAM. This also is very overclockable, as it has the MSI cooler on it, and just overall, MSI cards are known for having pretty good overclockability. And also, this is just overall is a very good graphics card that will pretty much run a lot of today's games at really high settings, including just running fraps in the background and recording all your gameplay. Anyways, to go over the storage solution for this gaming PC, I thought I'd put in the nice convenience of a 120GB Pony Accelerate 120GB SSD. So this is a very, very cheap SSD you can get right now. It is 120GB of memory, and you know, for SSD's performance, they are very, very fast. This can basically load up your OS right under 12 seconds, most likely, but this will hold your OS, your programs, some games that you play a whole lot, remember that, and also just for being at a very cheap price of $60, especially showing that the price of SSDs have gone dramatically down. This is a great SSD, you know, just for having the convenience of booting your system up really quickly, having programs load up really quickly, and having your games that you absolutely love load up really nicely. Second in our storage solution is the Seagate Barracuda 1TB hard drive. So the simple reason why I got this is because 1, it is super cheap, but 2, you need a place to store all your gameplay, your other games that you may not play a whole lot, but you know, you just need to store this on, and you know, you just want to have a hard drive to, you know, store all of your videos, images, anything else, and you know, this will do all of that. So this is a 1TB hard drive by Seagate. You know, 1TB is plenty. This is the SATA 6GB interface for this hard drive, so this will basically work with any of today's motherboards. This has 64 megabytes of cache at a speed of 72 RPM, so basically that diddly-do basically means that this is a good hard drive that basically meets all these standards for, you know, a regular fast hard drive. And just for being a Seagate Barracuda hard drive and being stable and fast, this is a great hard drive for this gaming PC to store all of your etc. games, your videos, your images, or anything like that. Now for the power supply, I've chosen the Thermaltake Smart Series SP650PC BUS 650 watt power supply. So this is a great power supply for pretty much any other gaming PC. Right now it is very cheap, and also for being 80 plus bronze with this amount of wattage, for being this cheap, it is pretty good. So to go over some of these specs, this is 650 watts, but just plenty, including overclocking your i5 if you wish to do that, or even overclocking your graphics card. This is at a 80 plus bronze efficiency, which basically means that this will always run in an 80 plus efficiency, from being at 1% load to surfing the web to all the way at 100% in intense gaming sessions. This will support SLI and Crossfire if you want to SLI or Crossfire any future cards. And you know, for being a Thermaltake power supply and being very reliable and having a 4 egg review score on Newegg, this is a great cheap power supply for this gaming PC. Now lastly, for the case, I thought I chose a pretty nice looking case. I've chosen the Enermax iVector ECA3310BR ATX mid-tower computer case. So this is one pretty nice looking case that actually has dropped dramatically down in price. This was originally a $75 case, but now the price has gone down dramatically, so now it's a pretty good contender for being a very cheap case. So it is mostly a ATX mid-tower, which basically will hold your motherboard and everything else. This case is plenty big enough to hold that really big GTX 780 and everything else like that. It is plenty big for that. This also has embedded cable threading, so you can thread cables into this case to reduce cable clutter. And for having a 5 egg review score on Newegg, and just for being a pretty slick looking case for $35, this is a very good case that will give your $1,000 gaming PC a very aggressive look. So anyways, I hope you guys liked this video. Like, favorite, subscribe, and all that good stuff. And this is the ScatterVolt channel signing out.